Awesome. Okay, guys, it is Wednesday night. I am Melissa.Hear, Emerald Ambassador, and this is our Gem Explosion team call. And tonight is a special night. We have three of our gentlemen that are Manbassadors with us with Plexus Worldwide that are going to share their stories. And I'm so excited about this. I kind of want to just share real quickly how this came about. We were doing an opportunity event last week, and we had Daryl and Laura Heinrichs with us. And Laura was there presenting as part of our panel. And Daryl shared his story at the end of the conversation of all of us just having conversation together and answering questions for our guests that were with us. And he had just this incredible story. And from that, it moved into Jeff Lackey's story, whose wife is also with us, Shelly Lackey, who's a really strong business leader on our teams. And hearing his story, which I've heard before, and then knowing Scott Rogers and his story, I was like, oh my goodness, like we have these powerhouses on our teams that are businessmen that have amazing health stories, that have athletic stories, and we need to hear from them. We need to hear their voices. We need to hear their hearts. They come from a different perspective that needs to be heard and known and shared. And so thank you to the three of you for saying yes. And I've got my notes that I want to take because the big thing that I want all of us to hear in this of sharing story, and I will say up front that this is a team call. These are individual ambassadors that are sharing their stories. We in no way are saying that we heal or diagnose in any manner. It's just our personal stories and the stories that you're going to hear tonight. It's their story, and we realize that everybody's body is different, and that what you're going to hear from them is not necessarily the journey that you would have as far as a health journey or a business journey. So I want to say that up front. But what I want our team to hear as you are here tonight with us is story is everything in our business. It builds your belief. It gets you passionate and excited. But story is what resonates with people. And leading with story is the most important thing to do, because what we do is we share, not sell. And so it's important to all of us that we're always hearing people's story, because you never know that whenever you've got these stories in your toolkit and you're out sharing and loving on people, that there might be something that you hear tonight that will resonate with someone that you visit with tomorrow. And so always make sure that you're taking in those stories and hearing them and knowing that you have these men as resources for you in the future. Okay, so with that, I'm going to quit talking and I'm going to hand it over to Jeff Lackey. Jeff, I would love for you to not only share your story, but kind of give us a little bit of a background of who you are, who you were prior to Plexus, and all that great stuff. So make sure that you unmute yourself and we'll hand it over to you.
I think I did. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, good. I'm still learning this myself. But yeah, my name's Jeff Lackey. My wife, Shelly, started taking Plexus a couple years ago, and I kind of joined with her pretty much right away. And there's really two things that have really helped me, that Plexus has really helped me with, and that I've been a kind of a yo-yo dieter all my life, kind of been overweight for quite a while, and I would always go on a diet, lose weight, and a month or two later I'm back gaining the weight that I'd lost. So with Plexus, I've just noticed that right before we started taking Plexus, I got on a pretty successful diet and lost about almost 60 pounds. And so we started doing Plexus, and I just noticed that I'm not losing or gaining the weight back. I mean, it's been 2 years now, and I've fluctuated up 5 or 10 pounds here and there, and I'll watch what I'm doing and go back to the weight I lost. So that's been a huge thing for me, to not gain that weight back like I did before. And I was a professional athlete for several years. Had a lot of joint problems for really my whole life. I started playing baseball when I was 18, pro baseball. Right away, I had back surgery. I've had 2 shoulder surgeries. I had an elbow surgery. I've had my left hip replaced 2 times. And all these years, just really had just severe joint pain. I would take, on average, 2 or 3 times a day, take 4 ibuprofen, 200 milligrams. And it was just really bad. And my health was affected by it. I had a colonoscopy and found a lot of polyps that they said was caused from taking too much ibuprofen over the years. So, literally in 2 years that I've been taking Plexus, I have not taken a single ibuprofen. I mean, I've never had joint pain, headaches. I have none. It's just been a blessing. That's really what's helped me the most is with all my joint pain. It's just been tremendous. So that's really all I've got.
That's amazing. Can you share with me just real quick, if you can recall, I know you've been on it for a couple of years now,
Right.
but how quickly do you feel that you started noticing no joint pain?
Pretty much within a couple of weeks of starting to take, we pretty much just started taking the triplex, the ProBio 5, the Bio Cleanse, and the Slim. And within a couple of weeks, I started noticing, hey, I don't need ibuprofen. I have no issues with my joint pain. And this was probably, I'm 54, so I turned 50 in May, and I had my first hip replacement done in August of that year. And so I was a couple of years into having the hip replaced, and then I had to have it done again because I kind of came back too fast. I went back to work too fast after having it done the first time, so I had to have it done again. And just getting over that was tough. And so I guess a couple of years after that, 1 year after that second surgery is when I started taking Plexus, and I've literally just had no issues whatsoever. I do notice that, since we started taking this Vital Biome, they said don't take the Bio Cleanse with it at the same time. So I've kind of taken those later in the, maybe an hour later. Well, there's some days that I can't do it, or I forget, and I don't know if that's what's caused some of this, but if I go 2 or 3 days without taking my Bio Cleanse, I'll start noticing my hands kind of bothering me. And I get right back on the Bio Cleanse, and my hand, arthritis pain that I've had in my hands over the years is pretty much gone. So it's been kind of crazy seeing that work like that.
That's interesting, and it's interesting that you can pinpoint which one it is. So that's amazing to be able to hear that.
Right.
That's cool. Okay, well, thank you so very much. Thank you for saying yes to doing this, because this is a really big deal. And guys, I want to make sure that you heard that he has a pro athletic background, baseball, and so that's where you're hearing all of these injuries that he has really worn his body out. And I just can't imagine. Honestly, I know what my pain was, and mine was no severity of what you've had. And just being able to wake up in the morning and to get through your days with the realization that your body is recovering. And I think that it's probably recovering every single day, that there's another portion of healing through your body. So
another thing, if you have a second, my job that I've had my whole life, I've been in the landscaping business mainly since I got out of through my baseball career, and I've just very physical job, using my body a lot, and that's kind of what wore it out. Also, is almost 30 years of landscaping and mowing and all that kind of stuff. So it's just been an absolute blessing to have these products to make me feel like I'm 20 again. You know, it's incredible.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank
Been
you.
great. Thank you.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, Daryl Heinrichs, where are you? I can't wait to hear from you. You guys, so I've known Daryl, I think we met back in like '07, and I don't know if you've ever personally met Daryl, but he is bulked up. Like, I respect this man and Scott Rogers for just their discipline in a weight room and the way that they have kind of mastered, if you will, their bodies and their physiques and how they care for themselves in the way that they do. And so I'm really excited for you to hear from him and just the difference that this has made for him. And I want you to also hear from him from a business standpoint. He is, you know, just a corporate businessman that has a lot of travel in his world, a lot of high stress with employees and employment and contract work and all of that. And so I'd love for you to hear just his comparison of what Plexus has been for him from the business standpoint as well. So Daryl, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Okay. So if you've met me, I can be stubborn. So that'll play in here to Laura's smiling. So when I turned 40, I was not in great shape. All I wanted to do was come home and go to, sit on the couch and take a nap, and things were not good. I was significantly overweight and really high blood pressure on meds. So I got real serious about my health, and one of the ways I did that besides diet was weightlifting, like you just said. So when I put my mind to something, I kind of stick with it, right? So the deadlift was my favorite lift, and it was a lift I put a lot of energy into, a lot of effort into, and actually got pretty good at it. Through that, I got a lot of injury, right? A lot of aches and pains, not serious injury. I guess twice I really did hurt my back. And then there's the recovery from that. But you just kind of learn to live with discomfort, and maybe more than what I had realized. So fast forward now to, I suppose I'm about 53 now, maybe 52. So 12, 13 years later, Laura started taking Plexus for a totally different reason. She had some blood sugar issues. She had some gut issues. And when we saw what they did for her, I mean, like most of the husbands, I wasn't real optimistic when she started taking it, but it made amazing life changes for her. So I started taking them, not necessarily knowing why. I wasn't necessarily taking them for my body. So what I should tell you is, at that point, I'd been taking 12 Advil a day for about 8 years. And with that, when it was time to lift, usually you can warm up with a bar. I had to warm up with 135 pounds just to get my knees to bend, to force myself into full range of motion to do a lift. Sometimes 185, right? I'd do front squats with 185 just to get my hips loose enough so I could deadlift. That's not normal, right? But I mentioned at the beginning, I'm a little bit stubborn, and I wasn't going to let joints stop me from lifting. But what I was doing is making it worse, right, as I kept going. So Plexus comes in. Oh, let me give you another side benefit of all that. So I got to buy a truck. I couldn't sit in a car. I mean, literally, I could not sit in a car. Any car ride over about an hour was an adventure. Laura would tell you, even when we went to Waco, so that's 2 hours, even when we went to Waco, I had to stop and get out of the car and stretch and move around, right? So I could not sit. We drive to Florida every year. That was always an adventure. Most people stop to go to the bathroom. I had to stop to stretch my hips. So fast forward now to, I start taking Plexus, and all I was doing was the triplex. And this is, I think, one thing that's interesting. My issues were all solved with Slim and the ProBio. Within a couple of months, I can't can't give a date as good as Jeff did. Within a couple of months, the hip pain was gone. I was still taking the Advil because I'd been taking it for 8 years. It was just part of my routine. And I don't know if my doctor asked me or Laura. I know my doctor didn't like me taking it. I finally quit telling him I was taking it because he would get so mad that I was taking that much Advil. And I finally just decided one day to not take it, to just try to not take it. That was maybe 3 months in to Plexus, and there was no issue. So the next thing I dropped was my glucosamine. No issue, right? I mean, my my supplement pile, and it was a pile. My supplement pile every day was huge, and now I take the triplex. I take an extra vitamin C, and that's it. All the rest of my, and then protein and whatever, but all the rest of my joint supplements are all gone. So for me, it's been a total game changer. We drove to Florida here, a month ago. I didn't squirm one time. And Laura would tell you the thing that kept me awake in the drive was my squirming, right? I couldn't sit for more than 2 or 3 minutes of that, moving in the seat and trying to find a comfortable place to sit. So the Advil part of my story is the same as Jeff's. The joint pain is the same, obviously for totally different reasons. But for me, the joint health is insanely different. I just can't fathom. Now I can go in and squat and like a normal person, right? I don't have to force my joints to work. So anyway, so that's kind of the health part of it. The business side. So I didn't really have a plan to go into business for this. In fact, I think the reason I became an ambassador was to help Laura get to gold. I mean, truth be told, right? I mean, it was, I wasn't planning to work it. And in fact, I didn't for well over a year. Got my first customer kind of by accident. It was a friend of mine who had been one of Laura's customers, and then he had quit and he wanted to start again. And he's high maintenance. And so Laura asked if I would let him be my customer. And so, I know how to work with him. And so we did that and it worked fine. Anyway, I learned a couple of things through watching Laura. The things I do at work every day, I've been in sales the last few years. I'm now finally moving back into operations, but the teams I manage, the teams I lead, don't manage, right? The teams I lead, the sales calls I make, the approaches, the whole thing about you sell on your 10th visit, your 11th visit, your 12th visit, you don't sell on the first visit. All of that's an exact match for what we're doing here. The difference is here you get paid for it. When I do this at work, I get paid, but I get paid the same amount whether I play solitaire or whether I go out and do my job, right? And there's no, I mean, I don't mean it that way, right? Of course, you always work, you have an ethic, but there's no real difference between the level of effort I put forward. In Plexus, now, fine, I'm only silver. I just started doing it for real. But what I've realized over the last couple of months is every legitimate effort I put forward has resulted in a paycheck. If I play with it, nothing happens. Nothing happens at work either, right? If I focus on it, if I do it for real, it works here. A couple of things I guess I wrote down that I've learned, and I think Scott will probably say some of this because frankly I've been listening to some of his videos, but I did the whole I'm pretending to work the business thing. I have over 1,000 people on my LinkedIn, and I hit all of them. But I hit them, even though it was I think, a fairly well-written message, a canned message, right? And the number of responses I got out of those 1,000 people, I can count on one hand. Whereas now I've started with a very personal, very direct, hopefully on the phone, message to a person. So far, I'm on. In the last 2 weeks, I'm 4 for 4. I don't have that record on all of them, but I would tell you that the ones I've done personally, my record is 30-40% as opposed to 0.4% or whatever the other one was. So the same things that we hear from all of our uplines, make it personal, do it in voice, um, you know, don't do group messaging, get one-on-one. I've got a coffee coming up on Friday and another one the next week that they both already told me they're going to order. They just want to sit down and talk, right? So it's hard because I work, in essence, the 9 to 5 kind of thing, right? So you do it around that. But when I can do it in person, I would say that the response rate is significantly higher. So I don't know if you wanted me to go beyond that. Like I said, my main thing I was going to talk about was the health, but the business side is fun because I see I've got a date on my iPad. That's my date. That's my retirement date, right? And I'm going to push towards that. And I think with Plexus, I have the ability to do that. So anyway.
Can I ask some questions?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I want to ask you I hope everybody heard that effort equals reward, right? He can see the compensation side and the differences between traditional work with salary versus network marketing, to where the difference of that piece and the effort that you put in, that you see the difference with network marketing. The question that I have for you is with LinkedIn and your messages and how you've adjusted that, and that now you're calling, hopefully, that personal direct phone call. Is that still with your LinkedIn people, or is that with just people that you're cultivating relationships with?
No, so it's a little bit of both, right? Most of my LinkedIn people, of course, I have their phone number, but I've also included now my Facebook friends that are just, some are both, right? But some are just Facebook. So in Facebook, you can use the messenger, the voice messenger. And that I learned at convention, I guess. But so no, it's still the LinkedIn. I'm going back to the people that I blasted, and then it's with coworkers and people that are either in my contacts list or on Facebook.
And whenever it's a direct conversation or a direct message, can you give us an idea of what that looks like or what that sounds like?
Well, so I try, so no, because I try to make each one a little bit, so far, I've been lucky enough that each one is very specific to that person. Mm-hmm. So I know the fellow I'm going to have coffee with, I know he has joint issues, right? So we were able to share that I talked to him about my weightlifting and stuff. So on that topic, we're going to talk about joint health, and my marketing guy, he and I have been doing email yesterday and today. His might be more like Jeff's. He's had 3 surgeries on his ankle now, right? And what he's realizing is he's not getting any better. He said his whole body's got inflammation. So we're going to go down that path. So far, I try to make every story to that person. Right. So on some of these people, when I call them, it's just to say hi if I haven't talked to them in a while and get a sense for that. Some who I know their issues, then I talk about that issue. But I've never let out, unless they posed it, like my marketing guy, he posed a problem. So I let out with Plexus. The other ones, I have a call first, we talk, and then we do Plexus maybe on the next call.
Love that. Okay, last question. I know I'm full of questions, but do you feel like that you lead with the business or the health side?
So far, I always lead with the health, and I know I'm supposed to work on that, but my comfort zone. So I'm expanding, but my comfort zone is to lead on the health, because I don't know. For me, that's just an easier place to start, and I'm getting there. I at least bring it up each time now. I at least say the words. So.
Well, and I love that. I just want to encourage you in that, because you're a powerhouse from a business standpoint and a businessman, and really, men are bottom line people. And I know we're going to hear that from Scott. So I even set it up because he, I know, leads really strong from the business side. But, I know that once you get comfortable with that, because everything that you've told us, you see, you felt how the compensation plan works,
Mm-hmm.
and you're a bottom line person. And I think that men and women resonate with that whenever someone really is direct from a business standpoint as well. So I think that that's fantastic. And the last thing I want to say is I love your affirmation of your wife, of just saying, I learned from Laura, and just the things that you've learned from her. I just think that that's really cool. I love when couples work together and partner together and do this business together. But man, I just think it's sweet affirmation whenever you acknowledge your spouse. So that's very cool. So okay, thank you so much, Daryl. And I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Scott Rogers, who we're all going to learn from, and really excited to hear from you. And so, yeah, kind of share a little bit of who you are and your Plexus journey from a health standpoint and how it's helped you in the weight room as well, because I know you have a lot of story around that. And then we'd love to hear from you from your business perspective and how you are building your business.
Good deal. Can you hear me okay?
You can.
Okay, good. Well, basically, what I had a problem before Plexus, I had a problem with two main things. One is sleep, and the second is energy. And basically, the situation was I wasn't getting great rest at night, so I eventually started taking over-the-counter sleep medication. Nothing hardcore, just over-the-counter stuff. I knew it wasn't good for me, but I'm like, if I don't get sleep, I feel cranky the next day. I can't focus, and I've been self-employed for a long time, so if I can't do my job, then I don't get paid, and it's a whole ugly cycle. So I was on sleep medication, and then because it worked okay, but I would, be able to fall asleep okay eventually. But after that, I'd get up the next day, and I was still tired, so I had that whole caffeine, kick. So I would get a, stupid energy drink or something that was totally not good for you at all. 5 hour, whatever it was, coffee sometimes, sugar, chemicals, all kinds of stuff. And I thought that was doing me good because I get that little buzz for a little bit. Okay, I'm focused. I can get my work done, whatever. And so it's just this vicious cycle, and in the morning, and I understand why they have that Dr. Pepper sign that says 10 to whatever, because that's when your body crashes and you feel like you need more sugar again. But I was in that whole cycle. At the same time, I was still trying to work out, and I thought, well, if I take all this energy stuff, it's going to help me work out. I'm going to have, it's going to be okay. It'll be fine. I didn't really think about my health that much, to be honest. It was just more vanity, more trying to, look good and have the energy to work and all that kind of thing. So when Dory came to me with Plexus, I remember our conversations early on. It's funny looking back now because I thought, honey, what is this? Some women's diet deal or what is this stuff? I said, I don't know if you should be looking into that. And, all the crazy things those guys say when we're trying to, be protective and make sure it's not something weird, whatever. And I was totally off base because she had been doing the research all along. And then she came back and said, I don't know about this stuff. Look at this probiotic stuff. I've been doing research and talking to people, and it's really good stuff. And so we got on the products, and I said, well, if it's good for you, it's good for me. I want to feel better and look better too. So I started sneaking some products, some Slim here and there, and then we finally just started buying it for all of us. And one thing that I noticed, and she had told me before, she said, well, I've heard that it can help with, being able to fall asleep or, having better rest, whatnot, and energy. So I said, well, I'll try it. I know I want to get off this stuff. So I said, well, I'll give it a try for a week. And so I tried it for a week and without my sleep medication. And I was nervous because I was obviously working and I was like, I'm going to be moody, whatever. And first few days, it was pretty rough. But after, I think it was like the fourth night, I fell asleep, stayed asleep, had great rest, even had some dreams here and there. And I thought, wow, this is really cool. And I never touched the stuff since. And that was, I think it's been like 2 years since I've been on Slim consistently. I haven't had sleep medication at all since that time. So that for me was really refreshing because for a while, I had some anxiety issues with, staying up late at night, thinking about things, being able to, what's going to come work-wise, what do I need to get done, what else needs to happen, all that kind of thing. So I was having a hard time shutting my mind down. And this helped in that area. And then as far as the energy is concerned, that twofold, one with focus and mental clarity, and the second with being able to work out and all that, is as I was starting to take Slim, this is why I also love Edge. That's another story, but that's one of my second best products as well, is the fact that I love to stay active. I like to be active. You can ask Dory, most people that know me really well, I can't sit still. Like sitting for this right here makes me just want to get up and pace. And when I'm on the phone, I've got a Bluetooth and I'm walking back and forth and so forth. So I like to be active. So being on the Slim for me really helped because I didn't feel that crash in the middle of the day. I didn't feel like I had to get up and hurry up and get my caffeine, before I could think and all that kind of deal. And it really helped for the rest. And then I get up and I feel refreshed. I'll be able to go get some work done, get some things done. And still throughout the day, it wasn't this jacked up energy as we all know, it's just kind of sustained throughout the day. So I was able to get work done and then come home and then sometimes I'll sneak an extra Slim during the day if I know it's going to be a long day and I get up really early and need to work out that night, whatever. But even still, I still have enough energy to go to the gym even after dinner. When time's passed, I wouldn't even think about that and be like, I'm just gonna, sit down in the bed, do some texting, emails, whatever. So that's one of the parts that really helped me was in those areas. And then the other thing is when it comes to being able to work out and all that, I've been working out for quite a while. I've never been I wouldn't say I've been unhealthy for sure, but I've never been a bigger guy. So I haven't had too much of a problem with losing weight, but it's really been just being able to eat better and better habits and those kind of things. I love food. And up until recently, and this is kind of a family thing for me and my side of the family, we like to eat food, and food is kind of the thing that gathers people together a lot. And so I used to get pretty excited about going out to eat and those kind of things. And I still am, but it's really more or less for me, it's like, okay, what's going to fuel me best? I look at it more as fuel, even to the point where I'm like, should I have that today? Or I know I'm going to be working out, so I'm not going to feel that great if I eat this, those kind of things. So it helps me make better choices. And then another thing is water. I never in my life have drunk as much water as I have in the last year and a half or so. And I think it's helped a lot. I used to have, some headaches and some other things going on, whether it's the caffeine or whether it's just, not drinking enough of water. And now I drink water all the time. I crave it. I really don't. I mean, I'll have tea every now and then when we go out to eat, but I really don't crave Cokes. I used to drink Cokes pretty heavily every time we go out to eat, those kind of things. So there's several things that I used to struggle with in that area, and now I don't anymore. And I haven't added anything else to the mix. It's just been Plexus and, trying to work on better habits and things like that. And then going to the gym, that's the thing that I really like is I used to, as we all get older, we can huff and puff a little bit more at the gym times. And through taking these products, I really have noticed that I'm not, I leave the gym and have a good workout. So I'm a little bit, worn out at that point, but really going to the gym and all that, I don't feel like, oh my goodness, I'm so tired. I don't feel like doing this, and that kind of thing. I can push through the workout. And for me, that's really important. And also in recovery, I'm not as sore as time's passed. So there's a couple things there on that regard.
Okay. Can I ask a question before we move to business?
Sure.
Okay, so Edge, I want to hear your thoughts around Edge because you mentioned it. And so tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I love it. When they released that last year, I was really excited because that's kind of my thing. I like to be energetic and do my thing and whatnot. And for really what I do in my regular job, so to speak, career, is I'm in recruiting for a financial services company, and I recruit nationwide. And so I'm on the phone all the time. So for me, being sharp and I can always tell if I have a good conversation or if I'm off. And one thing that I noticed with Edge, other than the fact that it kind of perks me up and keeps me going, one thing in particular is I take it in the morning after I've had breakfast, and I can maybe hit the phone by 8:30 in the morning, kind of go from there. And my conversations, as weird as this sounds, my conversations, a lot of times I'll just be sitting there talking to someone and I'll say some things or I'll ask a question and I'll be like, wow, okay, that kind of rolled pretty smooth. And I didn't have to think about that or stumble over it or whatever. And it just seemed like I was a little sharper in my thinking. And really, when I used to take the caffeine and the sugar energy drinks and all that, I would have this rush, but then I wouldn't be able to think clearly. And so it was, like I said, it sounds a little bit weird, but in all honesty, that's the truth. And so that was one thing. Another thing is in the evening time, like say sometimes maybe I'll take an Edge. If it's a long day, maybe I'll take one in the afternoon. And there'll be sometimes at nighttime where I've just had a really long day, busy and all that, and I'll just be ready to crash about 10 o'clock at night. There's other times where I'll just be, it'll be 10:30, 11 at night, and Dory and I'd be talking. I'd be like, wow, I'm still, it's not jacked up energy, but it's just like, wow, I feel fine. I'm not like yawning every 5 seconds and all that. So I think that really helps. So it's not something that, I don't think people need to take 2 a day or anything like that, but it helps me in those areas for sure.
That's really, really cool. I know that Shelley Lackey's mom has a huge testimony on Edge and taking that later in the day. So I love that. Edge kind of goes back and forth for different people. It's good for some and it's not good for others. I know for me, I can take it, but I can't take it every day. I absolutely love Edge, but it's a once a week, maybe twice a week for me, and it's amazing. I just can't do more than that. I don't think my body can take in all of that. I don't know, but it's good stuff. So I love hearing that around how you're taking that and what it's done for you. So one other question that I want to open up, and then I really want to move to business with Scott, but I just don't want to forget this. Daryl, you and Scott talked a little bit about being a little bit skeptical towards your wives when they started Plexus. Scott, I'll start with you and then I'm going to go over to Daryl. But what was it? Was it something from the past that made you skeptical? Was it just that you didn't believe, where did that skepticism come from? And what made you even try it yourself?
Right. Honestly, in all honesty, for me, it was a mix of realistically pride. Pride was one thing because we had been involved in something else years past, and I'm a big believer in business and opportunities and self-employment and all that, but we just kind of sort of got burnt out, so to speak, and we're just kind of like had that, I don't know, and so I just didn't want to even take a look at anything, and thought I was protecting her, but in reality, I thought, well, what if this does work, and what if this or that, and I was like, no, we just don't need that. So that was kind of it for me. And also, I didn't really understand the products at first glance. When I first started seeing it and started seeing some posts of some people that we know, I thought, I don't know, this is like a fly-by-night deal, because I'm familiar with network marketing, and most of the products are really good. But I never heard of Plexus before, and that doesn't mean anything. But that was kind of my deal.
That's cool. What about you, Daryl?
So mine was definitely past experience. So my mom was a Shackley person and then a bee pollen person. None of you are old enough to remember Jeff might be. The bee pollen craze, right? In the late 60s, early 70s, it was going to cure everything. And so as a kid, I got really skeptical for all natural supplements, right? It just because of what I saw, and it's similar to some of the other MLMs that we hear about where you have to put in big investment or whatever. We didn't make a lot of money. Dad was a pastor and mom lost a lot of money on both of those endeavors. And so I was just very skeptical about the quality of the product. So I didn't do any research in Plexus. When I heard that it was an all natural, right away, my ears quit listening, right? I didn't even know it's necessarily MLM. I just heard the whole all natural thing, and I quit listening at that point.
Wow. But now look at where you are today, and just,
Yep.
Yeah, your wholehearted belief. That's so cool. That's amazing. Okay, Scott, I'm going to flip back over to you. I'd love to hear from you on the business perspective and how, am I correct to say that you lead out with the business opportunity? Would love to hear your philosophy around that and kind of just share some nuggets with us.
Sure. Yeah, and I've tried lately to get a little bit more well-rounded with offering the product as well. I mean, that's a big thing. Part of mine, it comes from my background, and if I could say one thing, it's if I could go back and make more friends years ago, I would do that. I would stay connected with people. I was shy in high school and all that. I won't go into all the details, but essentially, I didn't really have much of a network when I got started with this. I've talked to a lot of people over the years. I've built a team in a sales organization years ago, but it was all online. None of it was local, basically. So it was by phone, by email, setting up websites, landing pages, things like that. So I was familiar with the marketing side and the business side, and that's kind of been my niche. And I've always had a dream and a passion to help people really, because I myself see different things for myself and want to achieve different things. And I know people are stuck in situations that they want to get out of. So that's one of the reasons why I leave with the business, is because I just see so much opportunity and so much value in what we're doing. And I know we can't want it for other people more than we have it for ourselves. But at the same time, if people know that there's something out there that exists that can help them, then I want to be one of those people that can help people and lift them up and encourage them and help them be able to see that and then get it going from there. So that's kind of why I lead with the business side. Does that answer your question, first of all?
Yes.
Okay. And like Daryl, just to ride on Daryl's coattail, LinkedIn, for me, I'd had a LinkedIn account for years and years, and had some connections and whatnot through previous ventures and everything. And for whatever reason, I hadn't really thought about using it because we're on Facebook a lot, and I started posting on Facebook. Really, in the last, I would say 3 or 4 months, I've kind of switched gears. I still do stuff on Facebook, but my network, so to speak, I don't really have a ton of friends. I have a lot of people on Facebook that are quote friends, but mostly people that are just, I don't really know that well. So I've gone through and continue to go through and message people, but LinkedIn has been a great source for me recently. And I also, because of my background in recruiting, I used to do a lot where I would have access to resumes. So that's how I found a couple people that I've brought onto the team and so forth, by emailing people's resumes and all that. But what I found in the process was all of that's good. It's a lot about just numbers with those kind of things, because I found a lot of people were interested in something, but they didn't have much money, or they needed a full-time job first before they could really sink their teeth into something else. They just need to get their head above water and all that. So I figured, well, instead of going to the needy, I need to go to the people who are already, successful, kind of doing their thing, but want to do something a little bit different, or want something more, or just kind of feel like they're a little bit stuck. And so that's where LinkedIn, I think it's a great idea. And the cool thing that I've learned about LinkedIn as well is you can add a ton of connections, and it's not weird like you're, especially with women. I'll go through and try to connect with a lot of women just on the business aspect, because I know that, if someone gets it, they can take off with it. So I'll go through and do a search for, let's just say, sales, nursing, recruiting, those kind of things, and just start connecting with people. And because they see recruiting on my background, because they see insurance or sales or whatever, it's familiar. So most people will accept that connection request. And then, like Daryl was saying, I'll do something similar where instead of, I've gone to my current LinkedIn people that I've had for a while, but I've also been working on really just expanding that list dramatically over the last several weeks, last month or so, and just introducing myself to people, kind of getting to know people a little bit, and posting like I would be posting on Facebook on LinkedIn. So it's a little bit different strategy, some personal stuff, things like that, but a little bit more business-like. And I actually got a customer for Vital Biome, just posting some stuff here and there. We've been in communication, and then talking to a couple of people right now on the business side. So I think LinkedIn is a great idea for anybody who's in the professional world. Even if you don't have but 2 contacts on there, you can build it up within a couple of weeks, and there's no limit. Like it doesn't do like Facebook, where it limits you for friends and so forth. And it's not weird if you request a woman, and you're a guy. We're all in business. So that's the cool thing. And you can message people, and there's all kinds of cool things with that. So that's why I like that.
Wow. That's amazing. So there's another networking opportunity. What I love that I want you guys to hear is with Scott, exactly what he said in regards to, if he could go back in time, he would go back in time and build friendships and relationships and network differently than, so he came to the table, like many came to the table, not having that large network that he could go straight to. But as you can hear, and that's what I really love about him, is his creativity of finding ways to expand his territory and build his network. I mean, he's using the skill sets that he already has. And so I think that that's a really big piece for you guys to hear. I mean, recruiting is his background, and the whole marketing piece and all of that. But every one of us have strong skill sets, and we can use those skill sets, whether it's teaching or being a mom or an athlete or different things, to expand our networks and our opportunities. and everyone has something unique about them that you can bring value to another person. So knowing those things and really thinking through that, praying through that, and saying, okay, what does that look like for me to expand my territory? Because it is a numbers game, just exactly what he said. And it's, the more people you meet and share with and talk to, the better the percentages are. So I think that that's really big too. Hey, Scott, do you have anything else that you want to share with us from just the business or nuggets or things that you've learned?
Yeah, I would say one thing, and I'll read a quote because this has to do real quick with the numbers deal. And I know we've heard that a lot, but realistically, especially someone in my situation, I know there's a lot more people in that situation where you just come on board, you're like, I don't have that many friends, or I'm not sure what to do. How do I expand my deal? That kind of thing. And I've always been kind of a recluse. And so for me, I used to do a lot of videos on different things, but in person, sometimes I'm a little bit shyer. And so for me, it's kind of getting outside that comfort zone and just realizing, just relaxing on the fact that it is really about the numbers. And I've heard a leader say recently over and over, say less to more people. And sometimes I get excited about stuff, so I go foaming at the mouth, and then I have to be like, man, I did it again. And so that for me has been one of the biggest challenges, is just kind of pulling the reins in a little bit and using the enthusiasm the right way, but just to simply connect with people and make friends and really invite to take a look. So the quote I want to share is this is a guy from a different company, actually from Amway, multimillionaire, been around for a long time, but his name's Bill Britt, and he has a quote out. He said, it's really no secret. I simply showed the plan to 1,200 people over the course of time. 900 said no, and only 300 signed up during that course of time. Out of those 300, only 85 did anything at all. Out of those 85, only 35 were serious, and out of those 35, 11 made me a millionaire. Wow. So, and I've heard this over and over. There's a guy, and I've got in one of my stack of books. His name is Richard Bliss Brooke, and I definitely would encourage anyone to look him up on YouTube. He's got some really cool stuff. He's been in the industry for a long time, but he's got one video. It's called Curiosity-Based Prospecting, and another one, I think it's called The Secret of Success in Network Marketing. And he basically just breaks it down and says, act like, instead of acting like you're signing up someone and you got to go get people right away, act like you're getting paid $500 for every person that you invite to take a look, and just relax. Don't have this scripted deal about how you're going to ask the next question. It's be very strategic, some cases, but in most cases, you just talk about, ask questions and be more interested in them, and quit trying to, convince them of what we got and all that sort of thing without first knowing what their pain points are and their problems are. And that's one of the coolest things that I've learned, because I had a hard time just in recruiting and sales and all that, just wanted to tell the bullet points and get people excited. And why are they not excited? This is exciting stuff. And then looking back, it's, it's my fault, because I was just vomiting information and trying to convince, instead of just talking to more people, inviting more people, and letting the numbers play out as I follow up with those. So I hope that makes sense.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Like everything you just said in the last 3 minutes, I want to capture and slow down. Okay. So we're being asked, if you can tell us the name of the book again and the author, and then what the names of the YouTube conversations were. So do you mind maybe spelling out his name?
Yes, it is Richard Bliss, like Bliss, Brooke, Brooke. Mm-hmm. And he's good buddies with Eric Worre. They do a lot of trainings together. And his wife wrote this book, The 4-Year Career for Women.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Kimmy Brooke. But he's got the YouTube. I've got it pulled up here.
Wait, what was the name of his book?
This one it's not just network marketing, but this is called Mach 2 with Your Hair on Fire.
Okay.
This one's been around for a long time, but he also wrote The 4-Year Career.
Okay.
But I'm an audio guy, because I like, I'm at the gym, I'm, sending emails, whatever. So I listen to a lot of audios and videos. But the video that he has out that I listen to a lot is called Curiosity-Based Prospecting.
Okay.
and you just pull it up in YouTube and you'll find it. He's got like a Hawaiian lei on. He's speaking in front of an audience there. And then the other one is called The Secret Formula for Success. And he's, generic network marketing training, but it just puts you at ease and helps you to realize, okay, it's not as much about just trying to convince everybody and shove them into something as more it is just building relationships, talking to people, asking questions without the agenda of trying to pitch them, so to speak, and then let it happen a little bit more naturally, but saying less to more people.
I love it, love it, love it. Okay. Hey guys, thank you so much. We've gone a little bit over, but it was such good information. Jeff, Daryl, Scott, thank you for sharing with us and for teaching us tonight. And really, I am so encouraged. I can't wait to hear these videos and share some of this information. So thanks everybody for being on, for giving your time tonight, for learning. And thank you guys for sharing your heart and just letting us glean from you. So appreciate it. You guys have a great night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.